As the ancient Egyptian scrolls once said, you can't spell ignorant without IGN. Or as I like to call them, the Ignorant Gamers Network. Hit the like button and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter because today we've got a real funny one, because the massive disconnect between gaming journalists and gamers will always be something I will find funny. It's like they don't realize who they're catering towards. The IGN reviewer who made this drank all of the soy. While smelling like dog drinking that soy, he said to himself, it panders to my mental illness 10 out of 10. Because you don't hate these game journalists enough, because it wasn't just a bad review, but it exposes a corrupt disease that's far greater than the air in San Francisco in the 1980s, because this review is the most Redditor review of all time. This person has definitely never ever played a video game before. He's just a movie critic who failed at film and found his way into video games, but it really exposed a far greater issue in the gaming landscape. We're going to get to that later in the video, but never forget that some guy who looks like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo gave Alien Isolation like a 6 out of 10, but they gave this dried heap of dog slop a 10 out of 10. What a disaster. You could tell that this mixtape game was going to be a modern masterpiece, and the Access media were just going to drool over it by its tags on Steam. Atmospheric, story rich, LGBTQ+, female protagonist. Yeah, IGN gave it a 10 clearly due to its quality, yeah. Sure, it did. Any company that uses, female protagonists as part of its grading criteria, you can add even LGBTQ+ to that, deserves to never be taken seriously again. If the game is actually good, you wouldn't have to beat people over the head over it. Oh my god, look, our game has a female protagonist in it. Can you believe it? When you do stuff like that, it's like you waving the white flag saying you have nothing of any substance in this game whatsoever. You're just going for a checkbox to make sure the people you pay like IGN cover it in the best way possible. You know what's funny is that I joked in the past that Expedition 33 was an industry plant. I really like Expedition 33, but I used to say stuff like that to get under people's skin on Twitter. By the way, follow me over there at Sir Mannix. But you know what? I have to apologize to those people who I made fun of, because listen, this game is truly an industry plant, no joke whatsoever. What game am I talking about? Well, you may or may not have heard. A game came out a few days ago with zero hype whatsoever. And by zero hype, I genuinely mean that. Right now, it has a peak of just over 2,000 players. We're talking about something no actual gamer cares about. It's basically the child of Dustborn and Life is Strange. It's about 3 teenagers living out their last days of being teenagers, like they have to start being adults very soon. This reviewer mentioned and put it in the words of, it's a coming of age story, which to me translates to, I had no friends growing up, so I have to live vicariously through the illusions of a better version of my adolescence. Tell me I'm wrong, watch the review and that's what it sounds like. It validates my insecurities and self-diagnosed mental illness so that I don't have to feel alone. You know what's funny is that game creators back in the day were making games to escape the real world and explore fantasies that we think about in our dreams, whereas game creators today create games for themselves to relive experiences that they never had. Anyway, so this game is supposed to be based on the 90s, but these characters don't look like they're from the 90s. 80s and 2000s culture, but it has nothing to do with the 90s. Isn't that amazing? A game in the 90s where it's nothing like the 90s. Anyway, when I say that this is a quote game, that's actually far too strong of a word. We'll get to that in a second, but it received a lot of stunning and brave reviews. Not an 8 out of 10, no, not a 9 out of 10, but a 10 out of 10 from all major publications, which in 2026 tells us nothing. A 10 out of 10 from IGN is like a 1 out of 10 anyway, other than the fact that this is probably a coordinated ploy, since nobody cares about this garbage, but they all gave it a 10 out of 10, which is just blatant modern journalism, because not once do these reviewers talk about how the game plays. The art is not 10 out of 10, the animation is not a 10 out of 10, the gameplay is not a 10, and the content is not a 10. It's not impressive in any way. It runs at some terrible frame rate, but I know that's how the game is supposed to look. It's supposed to look terrible, according to the Ignorant Gamers Network. The game is like 3 hours long. I'm not even kidding. There's next to zero gameplay, and it's chock full of social conditioning. You have a 3-hour game where it's majority dialogue with terrible dialogue, and gameplay is all mini games. But oh my god, it's a masterpiece, zero ability to affect the narrative whatsoever. You literally can't fail at it. There's no stakes or consequences. There's no failing the mission whatsoever. It's just a low-rent garbage animated short that a film student made on his lunch break disguised as a video game. Actually, what am I talking about? A film student would make something better than this. How the is this a 10? I mean, where is the actual game, IGN? Oh yes, we just love trash. Yum yum trash. I just want to eat trash all day, IGN probably. I guarantee you this is what IGN said in their meeting when they made this. It gets a 10 because I only have to press a button once and it plays itself. I can remove my hand from the controller and it will play itself perfect. Isn't that great, guys? I can remove my hand from the controller and it will play itself. Great! That way nobody can say that I'm bad at playing games because it will play itself. These are the same people that will call this a Game of the Year nominee, mark my words. A game that requires no input or challenge or anything that resembles a game whatsoever. Anyway, look, Twitter is losing their minds over this, obviously, and one side is defending it like there's no tomorrow, but before we get to that, I just want to mention that there's a French kissing mini-game where you can control the tongues of the main characters. No, I kid you not, I'm gonna make sure I play this so you don't think I'm making it up. Roll the clip. Oh my god, it's just disgusting. Whoa, stop right here. What in the did I just watch? Now, I'm gonna let the developer tell us why he put that in the game. We were talking about ways of using the medium to feel things that you wouldn't usually feel in a video game, like being grossed out and awkward and embarrassed. Galvatron said, it's a really teenage experience, the first kiss, and it goes on for too long and it's just foul. And we spent ages getting like the ropes of saliva to work into a particle system and stuff like that. God, I'm gonna vomit. And I really like that we got across what we were trying to convey. Was what you're trying to convey that every single person is not going to want to play your game after seeing that? I don't think that's what you want, is it, Galvatron? With a name like that, I can definitely tell you're a weirdo. Now, these are the same freaks that call us the disgusting ones for wanting sexy characters, female adult characters in video games. And then they have stuff like that, a kissing minigame with teenagers inside their mouths. Talk about the irony. Like, are you cracked in the head? This is what happened with Pragmata from the same crowd. They were trashing the living hell out of that game for no reason. For what they perceived as naughty content, but this does have explicit content, but they don't say a peep. See, the journalists when it comes to Pragmata, Stellar Blade, Black Myth Wukong, and Crimson Desert, they're like, ew, those games give me the ick. But when journalists see Veilguard or Mixtape, they're like, oh yes, Slay Queen. Even with a game like Lords of the Fallen 2, which was attacked by the very same game journalists for having adult women wearing revealing outfits. That's very, very wrong, but Mixtape is perfectly fine. 10 out of 10, yay. Where you are literally in the mouth controlling them, tongue darting each other. But the thing is, you know what? Hypocrisy isn't the bug, it's the feature. They're practically making fake outrage to remove the games they don't like and then defending the ones they do like. There's no actual reasoning, any kind of common sense or substance to what they say. But that's the design of these people. They're not there to be fair. They are there to destroy things they don't like. AstroTurfing at its finest. Now, let's get to the very weird corruption going on with this game. And now, I present you Exhibit A. You should boycott Annapurna Interactive. Reddit removed my last post about this, which is very, very weird. Is it really weird and shocking that they removed your post? Anyway, saying it violated the content policy. Or would you look at that, Reddit having a double standard and hiding insidious corruption? Oh, surprise Pikachu face. Annapurna is owned by Megan Ellison, Larry Ellison's daughter. He is the world's most powerful Zionist, and him and his media companies are actively funding Israel and silencing pro-Palestinian voices. The company has been significantly funded by Larry Ellison. There is no way to disconnect what she's doing from him. You cannot get closer to the Zionist project than that. If you care about Palestine, you should not be supporting this company. I don't blame anyone if they didn't know. I sure didn't until very recently, and nobody seems to be talking about it at all. That's right, because the people on Twitter, your side, the wokies, are too busy wiping the from their eyes to actually see that they're defending the living hell out of this game on Twitter all day. Isn't that just ironic? A lot of the pro-Palestinian crowd are defending a game on Twitter non-stop made by the people that want them gone. Would you look at that? Talk about missing the bigger picture. All of these woke morons are too busy glazing the people who want to remove Palestine from existence. How incredibly sad. This is what happens when you don't think for yourself. And on that bombshell, let me know what you think in the comments. Manix out.